How to create a cyanotype with a photo that the background needs some work. I have a few images open here of some skulls that I took, and I want to convert them to a series of cyanotypes. The first thing I'm going to do is add a new adjustment layer of hue and saturation and try the cyanotype effect to see how well it looks. It does all right, but I am wanting more of a dramatic effect. Even if you choose the cyanotype filter, you can change the saturation, the lightness, and the value of blue. So I'm just trying out different shades of blue to see which one I like best. Again, I'm trying to get a more dramatic graphic type of effect than a traditional cyanotype image. So I'm going to go ahead and add a new adjustment layer of brightness and contrast to intensify my image even more. I really want to brighten up what the skull looks like and those horns and separate it from the background. I tried a different order of the layers to see what looked best. Now I'm cropping out the edges of my photo and straightening it up just a tiny bit. These horns were kind of difficult to take a picture of. So I went ahead and flipped my image, and the texture on the table that I set the horns on is a blanket. And I don't like the wrinkles, so I want to go ahead and crop the background out. So what I just did was I went to select subject, and I was on the layer of the horns, and Photoshop did a really good job of selecting just the subject in this photo because it was such high contrast from the background and from the image. So I'm just trying a few different things here. What I just did was I separated the horns of the animal from the background by selecting the subject, and then I painted the background solid. So I added a new layer and painted it a shade of blue. I'm continuing to play with my composition here by cropping a little bit more. And as we can see, if we zoom in, there's some cleanup work that needs to be done. So again, I used the auto select subject feature to select my image. It did pretty good, but I definitely need to clean up the edges a tiny bit. You can use an eraser tool if it's just a few small things that need to be changed. I usually use an airbrush type eraser tool with a soft edge to kind of blend away those pixels and not make it look so harsh. I'm going to have to switch back and forth between different sizes of brushes because this is kind of a tricky, delicate work. Another trick is if you have a photo that has lots of layers or it's difficult to see, you can hide layers and give yourself a color background that's easy for you to see. So oftentimes I will put like neon pink or bright yellow or something that's really easy for me to see the contrast and the pixels that I need to clean up. So I'm not going to do every edge of this image. I'm just going to focus on removing that background from the picture. Right now I'm zoomed in at 200%. It looks like I do have quite a bit more cleanup work to do. For the sake of time, we'll keep moving forward. So my original photo is still on the background. I usually never get rid of it in case I want to go back to it for any reason. So now that I'm done with my image, I want to go ahead and save it. As always, I save my photos as the layered Photoshop file first. I always rename it to be careful not to save over the top of my original image. Then when I'm done, I export out a JPEG file. So here's my second image that I'm going to make a cyanotype out of too, and I'm going to go through the same steps, just a little faster this time. So I'm going to add a layer adjustment. Of Hue and Saturation. I'm going to try this cyanotype and see how it looks. So it looks really dark, and I don't want it to look too purple. I'm really trying to get that strong cyanotype blue. So I'm trying different types of saturation. Just kind of playing here until I get the look I want. It's getting close. Looks pretty good. I'm going to crop the background distractions out. I'm going to go ahead and save my file. This one I didn't have to do quite as much work on because the background wasn't so textured and looks nice and flat. So I don't have to crop it out. I'm going to go ahead and save it. Now to my third image. Again, my goal here is I'm creating a series of cyanotype images that look like they go together, but they're a little bit different from each other. So, add new adjustment layer, brightness and contrast. This one, I want to really separate the horns from the background. Now I'm going to add a new adjustment layer of Hue and Saturation. Apply Cyanotype. Still just not bright enough blue. So I'm trying some different settings here. There we go, we're getting close. So there is a traditional cyanotype color of 100% cyan, but for this project you can have fun and try different values of blue if you'd like. I'm saving my image once again. I save it as a Photoshop file first, and then I always save it as a JPEG. So here are my final images. They're slightly different in color, but that's okay. Remember to save your files also on your Google Drive. Thanks for watching.